seed germination. Okay, zygote is formed. It is stored, or it undergo the process of dormancy. Whenever the fertilization occurs in the plant, it's not necessary that always it will continue with the process of division and cell division. In case of seeds, whenever you see the seed contains the zygote and endosperm. Okay, and the seed is a dormant stage. Seed is a dormant stage of this fertilized organism. Seed is a dormant stage of this plant. So in seed, what you can see in seed contains the zygote and the endosperm. Seed contain the zygote and endosperm. Whenever you sow the seeds into the soil with favorable environmental condition, ample amount of nutrient and the water, these seed try to germinate. Whatever single cell was present, that is the zygote was present, diploid zygote, whatever was present within the seed, now try to germinate under the favorable condition, and whatever nutrient, extra supportive nutrients are there, or the food, it is stored in the seed, which we call as endosperm, support the development of the zygote, and a new plant is formed, and this process is known as seed germination. And the development is also supported by endosperm under the favorable conditions, and seed is a dormant stage of the fertilized zygote. So next is sexual reproduction in human beings. Sexual reproduction in human beings. So here we are going to consider just the example of humans. Humans also have the how many number of chromosomes? While studying the meiotic and mitotic division, we have discussed that human contain 23 pairs of chromosome. Okay, human contain 23 pairs of chromosome. If you simply say there are 46 chromosome, or you can say there are 23 pairs of chromosome, out of which 22 pairs are autosome, and one pair is your sex chromosome. Okay, out of which one is your sex chromosome. So again, in this, the condition is seen, that is XX sex chromosome, okay, and XY sex chromosome. Within the humans, there are 23 pairs of chromosome, out of which 22 are autosome, one is sex chromosome, and again there is pair. Obviously, if you say the pair, that is in pair you contain two individual chromosomes, right? So in case of females, it is XX type of chromosome condition, and in case of male, it is XY condition. So you just have to remember that you must be knowing the fact that whenever, as the female contain both XX chromosome, right, female contain XX chromosome, but the hereditary or heteromorphy is seen in which individual? Male contain X and Y. So whenever the male sex chromosome of whenever X chromosome of male fertilizes the X chromosome of female, it gives rise to female, that is daughter child. If the Y chromosome fertilizes the X chromosome of female, it gives rise to male child or the son. Okay, so whenever the fertilization occurs within the human, if the X chromosome of male fertilizes the X chromosome of female, it further gives rise to a daughter or female individual, and if the Y chromosome of male fertilizes the X chromosome of female, it gives rise to the son or male individual. This is a simple thing which you have to remember while considering the chromosomes. Also keep in mind that what is the number of chromosome, that is 46 chromosome, or in simple language you can see 23 pairs, out of which 22 are autosomes, that is bodily chromosomes, and one is your sex chromosome, which is involved in the process of reproduction. The sexual reproduction occur in humans. There is involvement of gametes. Which type of gametes? Male gamete and female gamete. Male gamete contains which type of chromosome? X and Y. In female chromosome, which type of gametes are seen? Similar or similar type of homogametic condition is seen, XX. So if we now try to discuss about the male reproductive system consists of the testes and different kinds of tubules, testes and seminiferous tubules. So testes is one where the actual gametes formation takes place, or the cell division, meiotic cell division takes place in testes of male reproductive system. Okay, which kind of cell division? Meiotic. Meiotic cell division gives rise to which gamete in males? That is sperms. Male gamete in human is known as sperm, which are formed in which structure? Testes. And there are different kinds of tubules. These tubules are the retestes, vas efferens, epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct and urinogenital duct are the different kinds of tubules or ducts present in association with the testes. The sperms are formed in testes. They are transferred from vasa deferens, epididymis, then urinogenital tract to the, whenever there is transfer of sperms from male individual to female individual, along with the sperms there is presence of other secretions which are going to support the nutrition and the development of your sperms. So Cowper glands is responsible, so in males this Cowper gland is responsible for secreting the different kinds of secretion of the semen. Okay, next comes your female reproductive system. Female reproductive system, female gamete. What is the name of female gamete now here? In humans you will specifically call, what you will call the female gamete in humans? It is known as egg cell or ova. Okay, egg cell or ova. The female gamete in human is known as ova. What is the structure of human female reproductive system? So it contains a pair of ovary, a pair of oviduct. It contains a pair of ovary, a pair of oviduct, single uterus and a vagina. Here the opening of vagina is known as cervix. Okay, the opening of vagina is known as cervix. So there is transfer of these sperms to the vaginal region. From vagina they pass to the uterus. From uterus the sperms locates to the oviduct, and from ovary each and every month there is release of a single ova. These ova then comes into the oviduct, funnel come to the oviduct where the fertilization occurs, and the fertilized zygote transferred to the uterus, and there is development of embryo. So when you are discussing the female reproductive system, human female reproductive system, you just have to keep in mind there is a presence of pair of ovary, pair of oviduct, single uterus and vagina. The vaginal opening is known as cervix. Okay, egg or ovum or a every month the female releases egg, also known as ovum or ova. It is released from the ovary, passed through the oviduct, which is funnel like. Okay, then the cilia present in the oviduct push this oocyte or ova or the egg cell towards the uterus. Okay, the fertilization always occurs in the oviduct. Fertilization in humans occurs in oviduct. Okay, as we have already discussed the meiotic division, how the gamete formation takes place. Gamete formation takes place by the process of, so gamete formation takes place by the process or by which type of cell division? Meiotic cell division. So the production of sperms in males is for lifelong till that. So production of sperms in male is lifelong till death, but the production of ova or the fertile egg, it is just up to the age of 45 in female. Only up to the age of 45 female can produce the egg cell or ovum. After 45 there is menopause. Okay, menopause, that is stopping of the menstruation. Menstruation is a process in which each and every month a female releases the egg cell, and if this egg cell is not fertilized, then there is a need to discard this single egg cell which is unfertilized, and this discardation process of this unfertilized egg is known as menstruation. The starting of menstruation, the process of starting of menstruation is known as menarche. Okay, and this when the menstruation start at the puberty, whenever that female is of age 12 to 13, at that time the female starts to menstruate, and the starting of menstruation is known as menarche. Okay, so once the female starts to produce the egg, at how much age, at what age up to what age she will produce these eggs? Up to the age of 45 she will produce the egg. But after 45 or in the range between 45 to 50, the process of formation of egg cell stops within the female, and this is known as menopause. But in case of male, they can produce this sperm till death. That too, healthy sperms are produced in the male till death, but this is not the case in females. Female only produces the eggs at the age of up to the age of 45. After that the menopause is start. Menopause, okay, when the menstruation start at the age of 13 to 14, that is at the puberty, the process of release of egg starts. So again the process of fertilization. So whenever the sperm fertilizes the ovum, okay, whenever the sperm nuclei fuses with the nuclei of ovum, it is known as fertilization. So formation of zygote from the fusion of sperm and ovum nuclei is known as process of fertilization. Okay, when there is stoppage of these release of eggs at the age of 45, when the menopause starts. Starting of menstruation Menarche. Whenever the zygote is formed in case of humans, that is the nuclei, haploid male nuclei fuses with the haploid female nuclei, it gives rise to diploid zygote. It gives rise to diploid zygote, and this process is known as fertilization. Now this zygote is transferred from the oviduct, is passed from the oviduct up to the uterus. It gets implanted into the uterus. There is further development of the fetus up to 9 months. If the fertilization do not occur, then this unfertilized egg is discarded from the body, and this discardation of the unfertilized egg is known as menstruation. We will going to learn about the menstruation in upcoming chapter or in upcoming part, but now, just for now, remember the fertilization. What do you mean by fertilization? That is process of formation of a zygote, diploid zygote from fusion of haploid male and female nuclei. So development and birth. These zygote form, so whatever the zygote which was formed by the process of fertilization, whatever zygote was formed by the process of fertilization, it get implanted into the uterus. It get implanted into the uterus, and in uterus the embryonic development start. Embryonic development start. So it starts from first month up to the, from 1 month up to the 9 month, that is the 36 weeks, or the development continues for the development of this fertilized zygote or the fertilized nucleus. That is the development of zygote continue for the 9 month, and this embryonic development is completed approximately at 9 month, that is 36 week stage. Now our next point. From so much time I am continuously saying menstruation, menstrual cycle. Now in detail we are going to understand what is menstruation. Menstrual cycle, it starts at the age of 12 to 13. That is at puberty the menstrual cycle in case of female individual in humans start. So starting of the menstrual cycle is known as starting of menstruation case of in menarche, okay, as menarche. So in the process of menstrual cycle or menstruation, there is involvement of 4 hormones, that is FSH, LH, progesterone. Okay. Whenever the menstruation or menstrual cycle is happening or seen in the female individual, there is involvement of 4 hormones for controlling this cycle or the menstruation process. What are these 4 hormones? FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone, LH, that is luteinizing hormone, estrogen and progesterone. So whenever the menstruation starts, that process as menarche. Whenever the menstruation stop, that process as menopause. Just keep in mind these terms. So now the pituitary gland secretes the 2 hormones, that is FSH and LH. Okay, from where the FSH and LH is secreted, just remember the secretion location from the secretion of these hormones. From where these hormones are secreted, they are secreted from the pituitary gland. So whenever the earlier menstruation or menstrual cycle happens, once the egg is released, not fertilized, right? Why the menstruation seen in the female? Because whenever the egg was released, that egg was not fertilized. Whatever the preparation the reproductive system has done for the implantation of embryo and the further development, embryonic development, that does not happen, as the zygote was not formed. So what is the use of that endometrial lining and egg? Then it is discarded from the female reproductive system, and this discardation of the unfertilized egg is known as menstruation. So whenever the egg is formed, so at early stages, this egg is developed in the follicle. What changes you will see in female reproductive part? So when pituitary gland releases the FSH hormone, that is follicle stimulating hormone, it starts the development of follicle. Okay, now these FSH starts the development of follicle. In the follicle there is presence of ova or egg cell. So follicle stimulating hormone is responsible for the formation of egg cell. How? These follicle stimulating hormone stimulates the follicles or the immature structure present in the ovary of females. There are 2 to 4 millions of follicles or immature eggs present in these ovary, and each and every month one follicle develops, matures, releases the egg or the ovum. So for this maturation or release or fully development of this follicle, what you need? You need a hormone, that is follicle stimulating hormone, which is by the pituitary gland. It releases the FSH. FSH now helps the follicle to develop, mature. Now once the follicle is mature, is developed, it releases the egg. Okay, what it is? Releases the egg or ovum. It releases the egg cell or ovum. Once egg or ovum is released, the release of this egg or ovum is known as the process of ovulation. When you will see the process of ovulation? At 18th day of menstruation. Whenever the we are discussing the menstrual cycle, it is of 28 days. So from first day of last period, the follicle starts to develop. Once the follicle starts to develop under the influence of FSH, it further develops out to 14th day, or in the range of 14th to 18th day. It continues the process of development between the range of 14 to 18. It, or you can simply say at the 14th day, the egg is released from the fully grown follicle, and this release of egg is known as process of ovulation. Once the egg cell is released, whatever the material, whatever the material is at the behind, whatever the material was remained behind it, that is, it is known as corpus luteum. Okay, whatever the material which is behind, it is known as corpus luteum. Now this corpus luteum, what it's going to secrete? It is going to secrete hormone progesterone. Now we are going to discuss about the menstrual cycle or menstruation. So in human female reproductive system, there is development of which kind of gamete? That is egg, or you can simply call this as ovum. So starting of this menstrual cycle or menstruation is known as menarche. Stopping of this menstrual cycle is known as menopause. This menstrual cycle is happening or is occurring under the influence of four hormone, that is under the four hormone, that is FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, LH, luteinizing hormone, estrogen and progesterone and progesterone. Okay, so at the first stage, the process of maturation of follicle starts from the first day of last menstrual cycle. Okay, whenever the last menstrual cycle happened, from its first day, the follicle development of next menstrual cycle happened. But why this, or what do you think, why this menstrual cycle or menstruation should happen in females, right? So this process of menstruation occurs for the discardation of unfertilized egg. Okay, why? This unfertilized egg should be discarded from the body. The endometrial lining, unfertilized egg, is formed each and every month, should be discarded. Okay, for the discardation of the unfertilized egg and for the removal of this endometrial lining, the menstruation occur or menstrual cycle is seen in human female. Okay, so whenever the menstrual cycle happen, it starts its process by the first day of last cycle. So what hormones are playing important role in menstrual cycle? FSH, LH, estrogen and progesterone. FSH and LH are released from the pituitary gland. LH and FSH are released from the pituitary gland. So this pituitary gland first releases which hormone? FSH. Pituitary gland first releases which hormone? FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone stimulates the immature follicles. Now one follicle is getting stimulated by the FSH, it further starts the process of maturation. Okay, while the follicle is maturing, and follicle stimulating hormone comes and stimulates one follicle. Okay, this one follicle starts the process of formation of a mature egg. While this egg is formed, this follicle releases the hormone estrogen. What does this follicle start simultaneously? While internally it develops the mature ovum, it also secretes the hormone estrogen. Follicle itself is stimulating which kind of hormone? Estrogen. What is influencing or what is stimulating the follicle for the development? FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Within the name, its function is embedded or it is hidden. Follicle stimulating hormone secreted by pituitary gland. This hormone, what does it do? It stimulates the follicle to develop the mature egg or to release the mature egg. So whenever the follicle is developing, simultaneously it is releasing which hormone? Estrogen. What does this estrogen do? Estrogen starts to develop the endometrial lining at the uterus. At the internal region of the or internal surface of the uterus, there is a lining of the vessels, blood vessels seen, and this lining is known as endometrial lining, which is thickening day by day under the influence of estrogens. Once the follicle is completely matured, it releases the egg. You can see here the mature egg is released. The release of this mature egg is known as ovulation. The process of releasing of mature egg is known as ovulation. This happens at day 14 to 18. So between the range of 14 to 18, mostly the menstrual cycle is of 28 days, but in some female it is of 32 days too. So it varies from female to female, but mostly at 14th day the mature egg is released from the follicle, and this process is known as ovulation. Now this egg transfers from the oviduct and all. Okay, so whatever the remaining material is there of the follicle, whatever the remaining part is there after the release of the ovum, it is known as carpus luteum. The material remaining behind after release of the mature egg from the follicle, that remaining material of the follicle is known as, now it is known as carpus luteum. Now this carpus luteum is going to secrete the hormone progesterone. Is now remaining material of follicle is going to release the hormone progesterone. If in case at when the egg was released at 14th day, between this range, the shelf life or the life expectancy of this egg is just of 24 hours. If within the 24 hours the egg is fertilized, if egg is fertilized, then the egg is fertilized in the oviduct, it transfers to the uterus, and whatever this endometrial lining or thickening was seen in the early stages of your menstrual cycle, then the fertilized egg is embedded. But in another condition, imagine that the egg, whatever the ovulation was seen, whenever the ovulation happened, whatever the mature egg was released, it is not fertilized. So what to do of this? What to do of this egg? Now it should be discarded, and hence the process of menstruation start. So if in case the fertilization occurs, then the pregnancy should continue. The further continuation of pregnancy, there is requirement of progesterone hormone. That's why whatever the carpus luteum is there, if this released egg fertilizes and the pregnancy occurs, so to continue that pregnancy, need the progesterone hormone will help for the continuation of the pregnancy. Okay, do you understand the importance of menstrual cycle? When does it occur? How does it occur? What are the stages of the menstrual cycle? Menstrual cycle occurs whenever the unfertilized egg is needed to be discarded. It is seen during the puberty. Whenever the human female reaches the age of 13 to 14, the menstruation starts. Okay, each and every month the female reproductive system releases one egg. If it is not fertilized, then it needs to be discarded, and for that discardation purpose the menstrual cycles occur. And if the fertilization occur, if this fertilization if case the ovulated egg is fertilized, then it should also be, the female reproductive system should also be prepared for the healthy pregnancy or healthy implantation of the fertilized egg or the zygote. For that purpose also the female reproductive system is well prepared. So in menstrual cycle you see the action of 4 hormones: FSH, LH, estrogen and progesterone. First hormone which is released, it is from pituitary gland, that is the follicle stimulating hormone. Is the follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, so follicle stimulating hormone, what does it do? Follicle stimulating hormone stimulates the follicle simultaneously. Now while developing the mature ovum, it also releases estrogen. Estrogen starts the thickening of the endometrial lining. It starts the thickening of endometrial lining. So mature follicles need to be ruptured. For rupturing of this mature follicle, you need the LH hormone, that is luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone is again released from your pituitary gland. This luteinizing hormone is responsible for rupturing of the mature follicle. Once the follicle ruptures, it releases the egg, mature egg. This mature egg, the process of release of mature egg is known as process of ovulation. Once the ovulation occurs, whatever the material is remaining behind, it is now known as corpus luteum. Now this corpus luteum is going to secrete the hormone progesterone. Now this corpus luteum is going to secrete the hormone progesterone. Why progesterone is needed? If this ovum is, if in case fertilized so menstrual cycle, 4 hormones are seen: FSH, LH, estrogen, progesterone. FSH comes and stimulate the follicles then starts to develop internally. It is maturing or it is developing egg cell. While developing the egg cell, the follicles also releases again one hormone, that is estrogen, responsible for the endometrial lining. Once the follicle is completely mature, now it should be burst open so that the egg should be released. The process of ovulation should start. The ovulation will be seen under the influence of another hormone, that is LH hormone, which is again released from the pituitary gland. Now LH or luteinizing hormone will burst the follicle, egg is released. This release of egg is known as process of ovulation. Now once the egg which was released, it will further go for fertilization. If fertilization do not occur, it will be discarded with the endometrial lining. Okay, whatever the material which remained behind of the follicle, now it is known as corpus luteum, corpus albicus. Now this corpus luteum is going to release the hormone progesterone, so that if in case the fertilization of this egg or ovum occurs, then that fertilized egg or the fertilized ovum is further going to form the zygote with the fusion of male nuclei, right? The zygote now should be, the zygote when it is implanted into endometrial lining of uterus, there should be continuation of pregnancy, and for that, this continuation of pregnancy, you need the hormone progesterone. It is also known as a pregnancy hormone. What happens if the fertilized egg is not, if the egg is not fertilized, what happens? There is bleeding or discardation of the egg along with the endometrial lining, and that is known as the, and that process is known as the menstruation. For bursting of the follicle, mature follicle, you need a hormone LH, that is luteinizing hormone. It, under its influence, the follicle will rupture, egg is released, and if in case the ovulation the ovum fertilizes, then fertilized egg should be implanted, and the then the zygote is embedded in the uterus, and for the development of the zygote or for the further development, you need a progesterone hormone, which is also known as a pregnancy. Which next? Reproduction, modern technology. So whatever we have discussed till now, it is for natural conceiving process or natural conceiving or natural reproduction. But there are some couples in the world that they are unable to conceive because of various cases, such as there are problems in the oviduct or ovaries, or the egg is not developed properly, there is not minimum optimum amount of egg production, healthy egg production is not seen, there are aberrations in the oviduct, or the sperm count is less. In such condition, in such couples facing these problems, the natural pregnancy is not seen. So for these couples, what nowadays the science and technology have developed so much that the couples which are facing such kind of problems regarding the reproductive health or reproductive systems are going to become the parent with the help of different methods such as IVF and surrogacy. Okay. IVF, first we will discuss about the IVF. IVF is in vitro fertilization, in which the embryo is fertilized with the, in which the embryo is fertilized, or the egg and sperm nuclei are fused within the test tube. In vitro fertilization is the fertilization which is occurring outside the body. Artificial fertilization is done, and this artificial fertilization is done within the test tube. In test tube, the male and female gametes are fused. The male nuclei and female nuclei are fused. Okay. What is surrogacy? That the women which are having the healthy reproductive system, but there are problems in implantation. In such women, what they can do, they hire another healthy lady in which this fertilized embryo is implanted. Now the embryo is not going to develop within that lady itself, but some other lady, in the womb of some other lady, this fertilized egg is going to develop. Okay. So women which are facing the problems with implantation, they are going to take help of another lady, and this process or this technique is known as surrogacy, in which the oocytes of the female who is having the problem regarding the implantation, the oocyte is collected from such woman, then it is fertilized within the test tube. Okay, it is fertilized with the sperm within the test tube, and such fertilized zygote is now implanted into a surrogate mother. The lady which is going to develop this embryo within her body is known as surrogate mother. Nowadays, this one more concept, that is sperm bank or semen bank. That is the couples which are unable to have the children to some kind of reproductive problems, maybe sperm count is less or any other thing. In such cases, from the sperm bank, the sperms are taken, they are fertilized again in vitro, and they are implanted into the female's body. Okay, here whatever the male is included, the males which are donating their sperms, their identity is kept secret. So the male which are donating the sperm, their identity is kept secret. The couples which are facing the problems regarding the reproductive health, they are unable to conceive. In such couples are taking the help of this semen bank or sperm bank. Here the oocyte from the woman of consent couple is fertilized with the help of IVF technique. The sperm is taken from the sperm bank, okay, and the resultant embryo is implanted into the same woman. Okay. So twins, must have seen nowadays there is much more. Nowadays you must have seen that most of the parents are having the twins, right? How this twin pregnancy is seen? Most of the time what happens, this zygote which was implanted in the female, during this cell division it completely separates and it gives rise to different cell, or while division it was separated into two different cells, and from that two individuals were formed, and these are the twins. Okay, these individuals are the twins. So what is the concept of twins? That two embryo develop with the same uterus at a time, giving rise to two offsprings individually. Okay, and how these twins happen? They may be monozygotic or they may be dizygotic. What do you mean by monozygotic? That whenever these individuals develop from the single zygote, that is, single egg is fertilized with the single sperm egg, and it gives rise to embryo, right? It gives rise to embryo, and these embryo further form the individual in normal condition. Okay, but whenever whenever the monozygotic twins condition is seen, what happens in monozygotic twins, that in early development within the 8 days of the zygote formation, the embryo divide into two groups. Therefore, the monozygotic twins are always identical. Okay, they are always identical. Why? Because they are developed from the single zygote. Hence, their all the genetic material, all the morphological and phenotypical character are same. Because in monozygotic twins, they are developed from the same zygote. Just while division within the whatever the cell division was seen within the 8 days, that cell division or that zygote divided into two groups, and this two group of the cell individually gives rise to the offspring. That's why what should be the case in dizygotic? In dizygotic condition, there the female body releases, in dizygotic condition, the female body releases two eggs at a time. That is, in dizygotic condition, the female body releases two eggs at a time, and these two eggs are individually fertilized with the sperm, giving rise to two zygote, and these two separate zygote develops in the uterus, develop in the uterus individually, and hence they are known as dizygotic. They are non-identical. Their morphological, that is phenotypical and genotypical makeup is different. They are different from each other in appearance as well as the other characters. So about the twins, what you have to remember, the monozygotic and dizygotic condition. In monozygotic condition, the single zygote divides in early developmental stages, gives rise to two sets of two groups, and these two groups of the cells individually give rise to the two offsprings which are developing simultaneously in the same uterus at the same time. But what is their genetic condition? They are genetically or phenotypically and genetically identical. They are identical to each others. They are similar in their morphological characters. What about dizygotic twins? In dizygotic twins, the female body releases two eggs in single ovulation, and these two eggs are separately fertilized. Hence, the separate fertilization gives rise to two zygotes, and these two zygotes are simultaneously developing in the uterus. Okay. In monozygotic twins, again you have to remember that their gender, okay, their gender is going to be same as they are monozygotic. If the fertilized egg or the zygote is of female, then in monozygotic condition the two females will be formed. But what happens in dizygotic condition? You don't know what the two eggs were fertilized with. They may be fertilized with the both X chromosome, or it may be fertilized with both Y chromosome, or the condition may also be like one egg was fertilized with X chromosome and one was fertilized with Y chromosome. That is, in dizygotic condition you may get the twins that both are sisters, both are brothers, or one is sister and one is brother. There is dependency that eggs were fertilized, they are fertilized with which male nuclei. That is, they are fertilized with X chromosome or Y chromosome. That is, whatever the genitals of male and female individuals are there, it is necessary to keep them hygiene so that the diseases or there will not be any kind of infections regarding the reproductive system. That's why this reproductive health point is given in your topic. So what kind of sexual diseases you may see? They are the, just have to remember the names of the diseases which are associated with the reproductive health or the health of your reproductive organ or genitals. That is, syphilis and gonorrhea are the two diseases which are seen large scale in males and females. These are, what are these diseases? These are sexually transmitted diseases, or STDs, can be transferred from one individual with the other. what happens, what are the symptoms of these sexual diseases? That in genital areas you will see rashes, fevers, inflammation in joints. Okay, there will be burning sensation during the urination. There will be also seen oozing of pus. Okay, such kind of symptoms are seen during the infection of reproductive. We'll see the number of the individuals, that in 1901 what were the number of individuals, and now in 2011 when the census study was done, what kind of was the population increase, and what happened due to population explosion. There are problems regarding the unemployment, right? Then per capita income, there is increasing in loan, stress on natural resources, right? Consumption of natural resources. And okay, here we end our today's topic.